Hey folks, how's it going today? Today I want to talk to you about diagnosing problems in your YouTube discovery, in your ad campaigns in general, right? Oftentimes people, they get really confused, just to know what to look at, right? And usually it's because things have become overcomplicated in how their campaign is set up, and they're unable to break things into the smaller components so that they can then figure out what the issue is. I like to think of running digital media campaigns, any media buying, as an experiment. So before I set it up, I treat it like I did a lab in high school, in biology class or whatever. I think about, okay, what's my hypothesis here? What are we going to try to achieve? And what are we going to do, right? I don't leave it haphazard and just to chance, and I'm clicking things about, and I decide as I'm setting it up. I figure it out beforehand. So I'm going to walk you through from sort of left to right on the different components of the ad campaigns that we set up, and how I would recommend you start thinking about your ad campaigns. Because if you're not thinking about it this way, then you're going to have a really freaking hard time in diagnosing what's broken when things aren't working. So first things first, we have several different stages of a funnel that I like to think of, right? So we have the ad network we're dealing with. Then we have our targeting, which is going to be demographic, interests, placements, and things like that, right? Then we have our creative that we're using, so the video or the image or whatever type of ad we're using. And then we've got our landing page. And then there could be another level of I guess, complexity here, depending on what your landing page does. So if your landing page is just a straight form, then that's it, right? But if it's a quiz or a survey, if it's an advertorial and there's a click-through or whatever that might be, then there are multiple, there's multiple stages there that things could get mixed up on, right? So you need to be able to segment out these stages, otherwise you don't know what the heck to look at, right? So I like to divide them to pre-click and post-click, right? So over here on the pre-click side of things, what we've got is we can look at our view rate on our YouTube ads. We can look at our CTR, our click-through rate on our YouTube ads. Those are the two things we can really control over on the ad network. We can control those by targeting different audiences, adjusting our demographic data that we're targeting, adjusting the devices we're targeting, adjusting our bids or our bid strategy, be it maximize conversions or target cost per acquisition, also called TCPA, right? So we can control that this way, right? Now, post-click, we can't, yes, your creative is going to impact how someone engages over on the landing page. If your creative is way out of whack with what your landing page is saying, well, then you're going to have a mismatch and you're not going to get people to do what you want them to do. But I'm going to assume here that that's not happening because I don't want to create more confusion in this video. So once we've optimized sort of, and this is all happening at once, I'm not suggesting you just optimize the pre-click all on its own first and then the rest later. But what I'm saying is you need to look at these things both as a whole and in isolation of each other, right? So once you're kind of analyzing the view rate, what video is getting the best view rate, what audiences are getting the best view rate, what demographics are getting the best view rate, which creative audience and demographic information and device information meshes the best to give us our best view rate. Then we want to look at what's getting the best CTRs. Ideally, the highest view rate and CTR are pretty close. Not always though. If you get a really high view rate and a low CTR, that's a key indication that your video it's not giving the right message. You're catching them at the beginning, but you're not giving enough to make them want to click, or your offer isn't understandable enough, or it's just they don't view it as something they really need to take action on, right? Just as a sidebar here. So once we get them to click over to our landing page, now what are we going to look at? Well, if you only have a form capture, like you've got 4 or 5 fields there in a straight form, you need to put Hotjar on your landing page. Hotjar is both a paid and a freed visual tracking service, which allows you to see the recordings of how people are scrolling and moving the mouse and their finger on their mobile screen or their desktop computer, but also a heat map as to where they're clicking. There are big benefits to having this on there, and if you're just using a form, you need to do that because you need to see if people are clicking the form elements and starting to fill them in. If people are landing on the page and bouncing, well, that's a key indicator that we need to start doing some split testing over on the landing page. First thing the split test is going to be the headline that we're speaking to, like what we're saying to them, and make sure it matches up with the video. If you're seeing people starting to fill in the fields, but then stopping, well, then that's something else we need to look at. Still split test the headline, but maybe we need to rephrase how we're asking the questions or something like that. So that's if you only have a form capture. If you have a survey or a quiz funnel, then you need to be able to see who's starting what. I've been speaking with people lately using different quiz apps like the Go High Level app, or trying to think of some of the other ones, but Go High Level comes to mind. And you're not easily able to see who starts and who doesn't start. So getting to the landing page is one, but if they get to the landing page and then start the quiz, that's a different value of visitor. And we need to see what percentage of people are doing that so we can know what to do on the page. So one solution, if the quiz software you're using doesn't allow you to measure that, like the analytics on starts and where people fall off, is to, again, install Hotjar. So at least you can see if people are starting or not. So that's the first step. The second step, and I'm not disparaging against any particular software app, but I would recommend that you look at getting an app that you can track that. We use LeadsHook. I've said this time and time again. Nick Thackerell, the owner of LeadsHook, is a fantastic guy. They have excellent support over there. There's nothing in this for me for giving them a pitch, but I would check them out. That's what we use, and we're able to track our analytics of our funnels all the way through. Very, very valuable. You can embed it just as a JavaScript quiz, okay? Back to the point here. So we need to be able to track that stuff, because optimizing our funnel is not just about getting better view rate, getting better click-through rate. It's about getting more conversions and getting lower cost conversions. And all the things that contribute to getting a lower cost conversion are better view rate, better click-through rate, right? Higher CTR, lower cost per click, which means you're getting visitors to your website cheaper, which means when you do get them to convert, their leads will be cheaper. And then you need to optimize the landing page by looking at what people are doing, oftentimes, like I say, a single form page, just an unbounce page or a ClickFunnels page with a form, on the surface, it's a converted or didn't convert. But if we have Hotjar on there, we're going to see it's more than that. It's bounced straight away. It scrolled all the way down and looked around, but didn't fill out the form. It scrolled around, looked around, and filled out the first field, then left, right? So there's different levels. We need to see who's getting to what. Not necessarily who it is, but what percentage of people. So we have 100 people there. How many look around? If you get 92 people bounce straight away, then you got a problem, right? So these are the things we need to analyze. So our takeaways from this video are, 1, use Hotjar. Absolutely. If you have a quiz funnel, consider LeadsHook, or at least have Hotjar on there so you can see who's starting what. 3, your 2 would be track the quiz. 3 is split testing your headline is going to be the number one thing to look at on your landing page to improve results. The second thing to check on your landing page would be to try a really bare, sparse landing page versus having lots of credibility and bullets and trust factors and things. Sometimes the cleaner, simpler page will work better. I can't stress this enough that, so many of us are we're kind of recovering from the Facebook bandwagon. And Facebook's algorithm, because it's a profile-based platform, is freaking amazing. And we all know this because you're often able to just almost everything, as long as you got a half decent funnel, can work out of the gate. I keep switching my phone back and forth because I'm at home today. It's a holiday in Canada and my shoulder's dying out holding it here. I normally have a little stick that I hold it up with. Anyways, when we're trying to run any other traffic source, native, Twitter, TikTok, Snapchat, YouTube, anything like this, it takes more work, right? And anyone who started just on Facebook really doesn't know what it takes to be a great media buyer on other networks, because it's almost too easy, right? You need to learn the ropes, we'll say, when we switch over to another network. So now I'm just babbling, as I often do, but keep those things in mind. Break your funnel down into parts, plan your campaigns before you set them up. Make sure you're tracking things all the way through. If you get a bad view rate, at least look at the CTR. If you get a bad CTR, well, that's going to be a high indicator. You're going to have too high a CPC to make things work. But look at all the different pieces, bring them all back together. You do this on paper, do this in a spreadsheet, whatever you need to do. But that's how you need to diagnose a campaign, from left all the way to the right. You need to look at all these pieces. It's become a little more complicated to run some of the tracking services that used to analyze this stuff for us, like setting up micro-conversions through our funnel with the Google tag, or even using other things like, be it volume or red track and such. There can sometimes be challenging too, because of third-party pixel tracking. But anyways, keep this in mind when you're analyzing your campaigns today. Start planning, start tracking, get Hotjar on there, start split testing headlines, bullets, and start making improvements to your pages, because don't just assume it's the best converting thing you can get right now. We'll see you in the next video, guys. Have a great day. Bye for now.